Hi, my name is Caelen Middleton. I'm a first-year student at the Masters of Community Planning program here at VIU. The Masters of Community Planning program is a 2-year graduate program that prepares students to become urban planners. What we're preparing ourselves for is going out there and actually understanding how the scope of the practice operates. I think there's a quote by one of the professors, Mark Holland, that summarizes it nicely. We're preparing you to be choreographers of civilization. We're going out there and we're looking at building form, but also land use patterns, transportation. We're looking at environmental sort of issues. We're looking at indigenous issues. There's a whole interweaved tapestry of different ideas and ideologies and disciplines that all come together, and that's what we're learning here at VIU. A typical week usually entails a decent amount of lectures, but one of the things that stands out about this program in particular is we're going out into the field constantly. We have a decent amount of guest lectures coming in, so we have a wide range of different insights and opinions onto the field. So it's not just our professor, it's a whole host of different perspectives. Currently what we're doing is we're doing a project on something called tactical urbanism. So that's the idea that we could change a space, but instead of spending millions of dollars on hard infrastructure changes, how can you make a space change, but in a way that is quick, easy, simple to remove and also put in, and cheap? So we're weighing things like, okay, if it's cheap, right, is it going to look nice? Because even if it's effective in changing it space in the way we want it to, if it's just a bunch of tires, like, people aren't going to like that because it doesn't look visually appealing. So you have to weigh that with also cost, because if it starts becoming too expensive, then it's going to become probably a permanent change. So right now what we're interested in looking at is there's an intersection in Nanaimo, just downtown, right outside of the Vault Cafe, if you're familiar with the area. The intersection is both awkward for drivers to come through and dangerous for pedestrians. So there's a couple design elements that we're trying to look at and improve. One of those would be potentially turning one section of that intersection, Commercial Street, into a pedestrian-only area. One of the things I think is a big draw for me to urban planning, and I think would be reflected in other people, is this idea that urban planning fundamentally touches on so many different fields and disciplines. If you're the kind of person that loves the idea that everything is connected and you find yourself loving electives, you find yourself just sort of being drawn to the different scopes of knowledge and how it all interweaves together, urban planning is one of those disciplines that really harks on that. That's what attracted me, and I think that's what's going to attract a lot of other people. If you're interested in sociology and how that reflects with economics and geography and also environmental patterns, and so much of everything is useful in urban planning. The role of an urban planner is so incredibly dynamic. One thread of conversation that keeps on coming up when talking to professionals that come into the class is just how sort of almost ping-pongy their field trajectory was. You can start off your field talking about transportation planning, so bike lanes, buses, and how people move through space. That will end up getting you into sort of a conversation about land use planning. So we're talking about zoning, we're talking about building patterns, and that will end up getting into a conversation about maybe sort of watershed conservation or just ecosystem management, and so on and so forth. You, as a planner, need to be able to sit down in a room with an engineer, with a hydrologist, with an economist, with a developer, with a couple planners, and be able to understand what each and every single one of them is saying, and also be able to have a decent conversation with everybody. So the program absolutely does reflect that in terms of the course content. One of the things that was different from my undergrad was it does feel almost a bit of a whiplash coming into different courses and the different conversations that happen in each individual class. For example, this semester we've got a design-based course, so we're talking about composition of form and what it's like to experience a space as a person. And then right after that, the next day, we've got a development course, which looks at the financing and economics of how things get built. And so those are two completely different ways of thinking, but they operate in basically the same world. The types of people you find in this program are very driven, they're very motivated, and they're super passionate about the scope of urban planning. I don't think I had this amount of collective passion anywhere close to it in my undergrad. Looking to the future, it's clear that almost all of human civilization, we're going to be living in cities. That's just the trend. That's what's going to happen. We're moving from rural settings into urban settings. So I think it's kind of important that we get cities right. And I'm super passionate about the potential scope that this field has in terms of changing the way that humans operate, in terms of the way we interact with our planet. One of the things I've always thought about is how, climate change is a real and looming threat. If we're going to make any sizable sort of dent in the way that we operate in terms of our resource use, in terms of sustainability, we need to start looking at the way we live. And if we're starting to look at the way we live, we need to look at our cities. I think that each and every single person that's in this program has a potential to make a meaningful difference and, in a way, save the world.